Knowledge is power, and I know a lot.
So you want to main the Ranger. I don't blame you. It's not going to be easy though. There's going to be a ton of competition. But you are the captain of the team. Their eyes, their ears. It's easy, see? Don't die and get good.
Fuck!
Yeah, no. Okay, seriously. Come, let's start with the basics. The Ranger, Hood, is a high-risk, high-reward outlaw with a preference for long-distance combat. His toolkit includes a longbow and a flash grenade. His ultimate allows him to shoot a powerful explosive arrow, dealing area of effect damage upon impact. A good Ranger is going to seek high ground as a tactical advantage. He'll relay important insights to his teammates, tag enemies, attack enemies, and make general gameplay calls with this knowledge at hand. Notwithstanding long-distance combat is your forte, you best be skilled in close quarters combat too. You have limited arrows, and as a result, assassinations and recovering arrows from fallen enemies will serve as crude methods to replenish your projectiles. Capture points will house crates to replenish your arrows and gear. Your unique gear is essentially a flash grenade / flashbang. Once again, capture points are highly contested respawn nodes possessed by only one team at a time. Thankfully, as an outlaw, you possess the agency to change the Ranger's playstyle drastically. With perks like Razor Gauntlets, you can be a lethal assassin foregoing the bow to a degree. Think you can hit heads? Broadhead gives you more damage and prevents arrows from breaking, making you a certified Hood classic. Master the art of archery and close quarter combat, and you'll be on your way to being a legend in no time. You can drop heads. At a distance or at a height, you'll be difficult to spot. Due to farsight, you're one of two outlaws who can take down the sheriff. You can dodge. May work well for evading the sheriff. Don't try that at home. You're physically weak. Your punches tickle Little John. You don't do blocks, you evade. You'll definitely have to compensate for this defensive if you find yourself in close quarters combat with a melee. Not a problem for a veteran like yourself though, huh? But unlike your melee counterparts, arrows are limited. We've already discussed how to replenish those. Rewind if you must. A lot is required of you. Most importantly, make an effort to verbally communicate with your teammates. As for gameplay, you will be expected to shoot down climbing rope to avoid being held up by noisy guards and accessing time-saving routes. You're the captain, so you play offense and defense. Of course, you're dropping heads, but you're also defending your team from a distance. Then, you're expected to have a low death rate. After the Mystic, your survival is the most paramount to the team's success. You're adding value by tagging targets over a long duration. Honoring your unique perspective, Ranged, has you surveying the landscape, providing important information for your team. And adding offensive and defensive value means your team desperately needs you alive. Next, get ready to tag a lot. Your unique trait, Scout, reads, survey the environment and tag targets for a prolonged duration. So your tags on guards will last 50 seconds and 12 seconds on the sheriff, more or less. Stay tuned for future videos when more details are announced. Furthermore, you need to reserve your flash for key moments in battle, such as initiations or getaways, once again, offensively or defensively. Lastly, your ultimate ability, Farsight, can be used during a critical battle, preferably against the rival team. Unless you're constantly struggling against the AI, the only AI I recommend you use your ultimate on is the Sheriff. Farsight can temporarily subdue the Sheriff. More on abilities, gear, and perks later in the video. The longbow. Well, actually a composite bow, but never mind that. Your main tool of destruction. Quick fire within a limited range, or charge your shot for a powerful long distance attack. A fully charged arrow to the head will one-shot rivals and state guards. But there is one exception, a brawler during Wrath. Don't mess around.
What are you doing?
Your unique trait is Scout. As discussed before, you can tag guards for 50 seconds and the Sheriff for 12 seconds. Time tag for rivals is still classified, you bolo. Okay, sorry. Let's get real. Tag targets, outlined and highlighted in red, will be visible to your entire team anywhere until they break a line of sight. Farsight, your ultimate, draws an insane magical incendiary arrow sticking on impact and exploding after a short duration. You gain ultimate charge passively over time through stealthy assassinations and possibly player kills. I know what you're thinking, Leroy. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, that's a lot better than we usually do. So let's... Leroy Jenkins! Oh my God, he just ran in. Let's go! Stick to the plan! Let's go! Let's go! Oh man! Oh, we're dying!
Damn it, Cleveland!
Where'd they get dragons? These guys have magic, guys.
Can't move! Oh, God!
You know, Cleveland, you're an idiot.
Okay, so use Farsight when you're in a pinch. Kill multiple guards with a single shot. And destroy packed sardines at the docks and teabag their souls. Shadow Sumo. Okay, traits are important to discuss. I don't know them all yet, but we'll recap what we know. Scavenger. Performing assassinations on guards and players increases the amount of ammo gained. This is great for new players who frequently whiff shots and don't feel confident assassinating often. Also, in my opinion, for those who haven't unlocked Broadhead yet. Bodkin Point. Charged arrows have increased speed and range, but will break upon impact. It's very classy, what could I say? Okay, Razor Gauntlets. Robin's melee attacks deal more damage with ammo, but ammo is reduced with each blocked or countered impact. Kind of an interesting perk here. In my opinion, likely going to be great against noobs and used by 200 IQ players, and this will probably depend on the damage multiplier when the game comes out and your ability to manage your arrows, and I guess your enemy's ability to block effectively. So quite situational for the average player. Broadhead. Arrows will not break and have increased damage when charged, but require more compensation over a reduced amount of range, and quickfire deals less damage. So this is going to be for the real long range fanatics, high damage, poor quickfire, and collect your arrows after all the action. That's all we know, and there's likely going to be 10 to 15 more unannounced perks later on. Your defensive is an evade or a roll, as opposed to a block. It consumes stamina just like blocking, but in close quarters combat against melee rivals, it may not end well. Poorly executed rolls may not be enough to avoid those critical sprint attacks and heavy attacks. Think macro. You strongly influence early and late game and possess strong map presence. Of course, you're an offensive headshot god, but true rangers also set up their teams for success. Remember, you're setting up alternative routes via climbing rope. With high ground, you're collecting intel and shot calling with a scout trait. You're tagging AI for almost 1 minute each, and with your loose arrows, you're creating diversions for setups. Okay, imagine you're on the second floor. You start taking shots at enemy Took. He scurries off into another room. What are you going to do now? Your intel is just as important as your aim. Here's another scenario. Now imagine you create an alternative route via climbing rope. They forget theirs. They don't have a brawler, but you do. You call out the Took from the second floor. He runs off, and Marianne is waiting for him. John raises the portcullis, and you're already at the sheriff. Meanwhile, rivals are already 2 to 3 minutes behind. Great setup. Lastly, Phase 3, Extraction. More than likely the mud has hit the fan by now. You've saved your second ult for this moment, and it's down to the wire. Your brawler starts winching. Rival Took and Rival John start clustering, the sheriff looms, and you let one rip? That's the win, baby. The point is, sure, headshots feel nice, but you gotta think 2 steps ahead. Last one, this is outside of gameplay. If you're partied up with someone, and you know there will be more than one ranger, diversify your perks. Try to have at least one person take Razor Gauntlet, for example, so you have more melee threat, and continue this logic with other perks as they're released. For those coveted 300-meter headshots, you should lead your shots for moving targets, but don't account for bullet drop as much. Watch this clip for an idea. Discuss a default formation with your teammates before hopping into battle. For example, teams are often bunched up, right? But why is the hunter always in the front? And why the heck is John the brawler in the middle? Depending on your strategy, determine where each of you will be situated and try to maintain that when appropriate. A balanced formation could be melees in the front and back and ranged outlaws in the middle. For example, the brawler in the front, the hunter and ranger near one another in the middle, perhaps the hunter in front, and lastly, the mystic in the back. Therefore, regardless of where you're attacked or ambushed, you're protecting the squishies and the outlaws who can block her on the exterior. So you have game knowledge but lack hands-on. Now you need to pickpocket the key. Consider approaching the sheriff with a mate. Better yet, Marianne. Both of you have rolls or dodges. We're not sure how blocking works against the sheriff, but I don't want to be the one to test it. So take 2 rolling outlaws and get Marianne to distract so you can pickpocket. On to the next one. Now that it's late game, a brawler's in your face. You're using Razor Gauntlets but have 1 arrow left. Go ahead and use your ultimate Far Sight. It doesn't consume an arrow. He'll be weak or dead, and you'll still have 1 arrow left to finish him off for somebody else. Take advantage of practice mode. Perhaps when your friends are offline or even with them. Memorize the map layout, discuss strategies, and practice your aim against the AI. Personally, I'd get in a lobby with a friend and ask for help in dodging heavy melee attacks. Damn, use a real gaming mouse already. Based on the reviews I've seen and read, I'll personally be buying the readily available popular Logitech G Pro X Superlight. I've had a good run with my Razer Death Adder Essential, but they're known for having the dreaded double-click issues after 1 to 2 years, which is what I encountered. Get a good mousepad. Huge ones exist. Nobody wants limited range motion. Use an Ethernet cable to play. Don't do Wi-Fi. You need to reduce your ping to get that unfair advantage. Okay, biggest pro tip. Use Aim Labs, everyone. It's on Steam. Link is in the description. You see, the time spent aiming and shooting in battle is but a fraction of the time spent in-game. Most of the time is likely spent crouching and assassinating unwitting guards. You gotta ensure that your sensitivity settings in Aim Labs match your Hood, Outlaws and Legends settings, or the muscle memory will not translate over into Hood as well. So if you want to be a ranged god, download Aim Labs and start practicing right now while we wait for this game's release. Pro tip for console players, get a PC. No, I'm just kidding. For console and PC players, again, use an Ethernet cable. Don't buy Cat6 unless you're playing at a Google's main database center or something, and then optimize your network adapters, parsing options. Link is in the description. Not as important, but if you can, buy a PS5 for the higher FPS and the awesome haptic feedback technology. This game might be 30 FPS on the older gens. And the least important, get a good gaming chair for better posture and reduce fatigue. Closing out with some easily digestible basic tips. Tag, tag, tag. You're tagging the AI for almost 1 minute and the sheriff for 12. Just do it. Plus, you get easy XP. Why wouldn't you? Offensively, prioritize the guards on the lookout towers and high levels. Don't make Little John tank shots while unnecessarily climbing those rickety ladders. Maintain high ground when possible. Don't jump down necessarily. In general, Avoid close quarters combat with all other melee outlaws, perhaps even Herein. Fall damage exists. Stay behind the team, or if bunched up, stay in between the brawler and mystic. Save ulti for countering brawler or downing sheriff in an emergency. Also, save ulti if nearing third phase extraction. There's a high chance someone gets spotted and sheriff starts roaming. Thank you so much for watching. If you're looking forward to this game and more guides, please subscribe. See you in the next one.